the grandson of Right Thought, and welcome to the School of Marvelous Light. I'm going to be reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 7. So, like I was saying on the last video, it's been very interesting the movements of the Spirit. How, when the Spirit dwells with you, you simply follow, like Christ said, you take up your cross and you follow the Spirit. Or as he says about the 144,000, they follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. Well, that means they follow the word wherever it goes. The Spirit is like a breeze that blows. Then the word of Abba is like the breeze that's flowing. You don't know where it comes from or where it's going. That's the movement of the word. You don't know when it's going to come. You just wait for it like you do on a hot summer's day. When it's very hot and you just need that quick little relief, you've been sweating and you need that breeze to blow over that sweat and cool you, you can do nothing but wait for it patiently. And you don't know when it's going to come. You don't know. You don't know where it's going to come from either. But when it comes, you experience that great relief. And so it is with our hope of any sort. Wherever our faith lies today, the substance of the thing that we're hoping for, the evidence not seen, when we go through that trial of the evidence not seen, that period of time, it's just like the breeze. We don't know when it's going to come, and we don't know where it's coming from. That's Abba's work. But we know that it's going to come, and we're going to feel that relief. And if we have gratitude for that moment, and if we stay in a state of gratitude for that moment, then we will endlessly have it. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, to think in your heart means to feel. Feeling is the depth of thought. The deepest penetration of thought is feeling. Because all of your thoughts that you have and that you are feeding to your feelings are to bring them in alignment with your thoughts. So your thoughts and feelings are indeed one, as a husband and a wife are one. So Matthew chapter 7, by the movements of the spirits, when we read this, of the Spirit, when we read this, it makes sense why I'm saying that. When you consider the previous messages that we've been giving here at the School of Marvelous Light. Verse 1. Judge not that you be not judged. Stop. Use some wisdom here, y'all. So if I don't judge, then I won't be judged. That's what he just told me. So me being free from judgment is contingent upon me freeing others of my judgment. Or as he said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Love your neighbor as yourself. All of the law is summed up in this one saying. Isn't it? Wait a second. Judge not that ye be not judged. Are these words in red? Of course they are. Of course they are. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. Stop again. Isn't it so simple, Israela, when you actually hear it? You just have to hear it. You just have to hear the word. But isn't it simple? With what judgment I judge, I shall be judged. So if I judge harshly, I will be judged harshly. So who's the fool here and who's wise? The one who loves much or the one who loves little? The one who's merciful or the one who's not merciful? Which one is blessed? The peacemaker or the warmonger? Which one is blessed? So then, if we got the obvious answer here, it's very obvious. Why is man rebelling against that? Because he lacks faith. And that's why the master said, when the Son of Man comes, shall he find faith? So when that word is going forth, that breeze, will he find somebody in it like this? Or will he find the rest of everyone running around, sweating by the brow, still under that curse, sweating by the brow, laboring and laboring and laboring and laboring, where they can't even stop for a second to feel the breeze and get a moment of satisfaction in their life? It takes faith to stop working and believe that you'll still be taken care of. That is an act of faith. So those who do not rest have no faith. They labor. And what does he say about those who labor, labor in vain? Everything, listen good, Israel, everything done under the sun is vanity. The place you live, the sun is up there, isn't it? So whatever is done in this, under that sun there, in this world you live in, is pointless. And why is it pointless? Because of the end of it. That's why it's pointless, because of the end. And this world, when you have an idea and you go to the end of it and you feel this great feeling, is that feeling based on vainglory, which means something that's fleeting for a moment that's going to pass? Or is it something that brings everlasting joy? Because if you sow everlasting joy, then you will reap everlasting joy. Because he just said here that whatever measure you judge with, you shall be judged by it. Which means not only negative things, guys, it also means positive things. So that means if I'm very kind to somebody, then people will be very kind to me. That's right. That's what it means. That means if I'm very generous, then people will be generous to me. That's what it means, according to this law here. You see, it all depends on where your heart is, determining how you will hear what the Spirit says. And with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? So now, when you know the deep, dark things about yourself, the hindrances that you suffer from when no one's around and you're in your own room, when you're struggling with that, when you go out into the world, after struggling in your room with the thing that you struggle with, when you go out into the world and you forget about that struggle, do you look at your brother also struggling and judge him harshly for his struggle? And judging someone harshly doesn't mean that you condemn them. It also means you speak lightly of what they're suffering with, as if it's not hard for you to suffer with it as well. You make light of it. You see, that's also not considering the beam you have. If it was so light and easy for you to flick off your brother, then how come your beam's still there? Why isn't it flicked off your eye with such ease as you say it should be for your brother? Because it ain't easy. It's not. So then consider that when you consider the little speck your brother has in his eye, or even if he does have a big beam in his, then you'll understand it because you'll consider yours that you had. You see? Now, the only way that you saw your beam was the truth showed it to you. Or in other words, Christ showed it to you so that you could see it clear and get it out. So therefore, it was removed by grace. So what's going to remove your brother's beam? The same thing that removed your own. You see? It's not something different going to remove his beam as if you're not the same thing. When he is living, he says, I am, just like you do. See? He says, and you consider not the beam in your own eye, or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine own eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye. See, that's what I'm saying. Oh, I know exactly how to do that. I can take care of it. Well, if you can, then how come yours is all raggedy? So in other words, you know how to change a tire, but you said you didn't go to work because you got a flat tire. But you telling me to go to work and you're going to help me change my tire so I can get there. Then if it's so easy to change this tire, so much so that I was able to do it and go to work, then how come you can't do yours? What's hindering you there? You see what that is? It's leaven, which we talked about in our last video. And for the little flock who's paying attention, y'all know what that word leaven means. Okay? It make you fat and puffed up. Love is not what? It's not puffed up. It's not leaven. In other words, it's not hypocrisy, vainglory. You look like you're more than what you are. It's not love when you act like that. You see? Because love is not puffed up. See? It's not leavened. So you want to help your brother get his out, well, you got to get yours out first. Verse 5, look at there. You hypocrite. See? See what I mean about the blowing of the breeze of the word? How it just is carrying us through all of this? From one thing to another thing to another thing, from one video to the next. He's doing it. The Spirit, that is. You see? First cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. Let's dissect that right there where he says, then you shall see clearly. The beam is a snare, okay? It's being caught in a snare. Well, there's two birds hanging by their ankles upside down, caught in a snare. And one is yapping to the other one about how to get out of the snare. But they're both caught in it. The one that's listening to the one talking about getting free, he's just looking at him like, you know, all of this talking is good and everything, but I'd rather you just do it. Rather you just do it. You see? So the bird gets out of his, this is another scenario. Two birds get caught in a snare. One sets himself free and flies off. Then he sees his brother. He says, oh, snap, my brother's caught. Let me go back and set him free. So he goes back. He says, you have to loop it like this and do like this with your beak and then pull your leg like that, and then you'll get free. He can see clearly how to get free. He doesn't have to guess and try some stuff. And let's try this. Okay, let's see. That proves that you don't know how to get free. When you say, let's just see if this will work. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, well, what about that? How about that? That worked? No, that didn't work. Okay, well, let me try to maneuver it like this. No, maneuvering, goovering, doovering, and all that ain't about to help nothing. All that shimmy dimmy stuff you doing is not about to help. Either you know how to get us free or you don't. And if you do, then give us free. Okay? If you know how to give us free, then give us free. Okay? And in this case, when you're preaching the word about being free, then you have to have set yourself free. See? And not being a hypocrite, like the grandson of right thought be trying to tell you. And he living it before you to show it to you. So that you can't say he's a hypocrite for what he's telling you about being free. That the things that you're looking for, Abba knows you have need. All you have to do is ask, and then you'll receive it. You need not labor in vain. See? All you have to do is ask him. Ask and you shall receive, but you must ask believing. So you got to ask in faith. See that? So if I preach that to you, then I have to do that first. So I have to live on faith, which is what I do. That's why my environment always changes throughout my videos. You notice I'm never at the same place? Do you guys notice this? Throughout the couple years of this ministry on this channel, y'all have seen me be in very different locations, yet I'm in the same city. But I'm constantly bouncing around from location to location. That's because I'm a pilgrim. I dwell like a pilgrim dwells. Did he tell me to? Well, yeah. So I ain't no hypocrite. So in order to tell you to do it, I got to do it. Y'all see how easy that is? Therefore, I'm not telling you something about let's try to do that to get you free. Let's try to do this to get you free. No. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you what I've been doing for the last 7 years. This is what I've been doing for the last 7 years. And I'm alive, healthy, strong, capable, handsome, radiant, strong, all these things. Not lacking a thing. Or I'd have to make up some lie, but I'd rather just tell the truth. So much easier to do that because the truth's burden is light and easy to bear. It's those lies that's heavy to bear. You see? So he says, see clearly enough. We were dissecting that. About seeing clearly enough. I told you, once you've escaped, then you know the escape route. You know the way out, man. You're like, the way is Christ. They say, how you been living 7 years, grandson, on faith? Christ. I wake up every day and I do what he tells me to do. That's what I do. Something's coming, I say, okay, take no thought of that, he said. That's all I do is filter what I'm going through what he said. Because this is what I'm preaching to you to do in the wilderness so you can make it to the promised land. You filter everything that you see and hear through Christ because he's the truth and he'll tell you the truth of it. And 9 times out of 10, it's not what it sounds or looks like. So therefore, you got to listen to him. Then he'll help you judge it righteously what it is because he knows what it is. He's the creator. All things were made by him. That's what it says. So if he made it, then he knows exactly what it is. No, man, I just did that to make this happen. Oh, okay. Now what you want? Ask believing. Okay, I want this. Thank you for it. That's believing, by the way, Israel. That's the little trinket of gold you can put in your pocket and keep with you forever. That's how you believe. You see? We want to know how to do everything. That's the way Abba has wired me. I want to know how something works. It's cool that it works. I want to know how. So that if it ever doesn't work right, I can restore it. If I don't know how it works, then I don't know how to restore it to balance. So I must know how. So I spend all my time figuring out how. Because it is the glory of a king to search out a matter, man. That's how you prove you're a king. How does this work? How does that work? So if it ever depreciates, I can restore it because that's what kings do. They do it with people. They do it with kingdoms. They do it with structures. They do it with children. They do it with wherever there's a defect. You hear me? All right. Verse 6. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you. Verse 7. Ask, here we go, and it shall be given you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For every one that asks receives, good or bad. Whatever you ask for, which is what your feelings are given off, is what you're asking for. Okay? So if you ask, then you will receive. And he that seeks finds, him that knocks, it shall be open. Or what man is there of you whom, if his son asks bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good gifts, good things to them that ask him? Therefore, all things whatsoever you would that men should do to you, whatever you want men to do you even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. It's what the whole word is summed up in. I don't care what all these people want to wrestle with you, trying to understand all this uh, high fancy theological historical evidence to prove this and that and this and this and that and that and that and this. As soon as a person starts talking all that nonsense to me when it comes to the word, I just smashed the rock on the table and said, what's the ultimate point of it? Why you want to talk about where this book in 1984 was did this done, and then in 2082 they put this in there, and then I said 2082, and then back in the year 112 BC they did that to it, and then this happened. I don't care about all that. What I do care about is what is the purpose of it? What is it telling me to do? And then they'll say it's telling you to love your neighbor as yourself. Well, then what are we talking about here? Nothing else to talk about at that point. There's nothing else to teach. There's nothing else to understand. There's nothing else to grasp. There's no more wisdom than that. There's no higher pinnacle to go past that. It's not like you learn that and then you go to another level. That's all there is. That's the top of the pyramid. That's the gleaming beam sitting right there on the top of that pyramid is love your neighbor as yourself. Doesn't matter what they've made it into. It doesn't matter what they've tried to lie and try to convince you of something is and somebody doing this and somebody doing that. It makes it this and it makes it that. It doesn't matter what they say. What matters is do unto your brother as you would have him do unto you. That's the most important thing here. People are so offended at that for some reason. They're so offended at the simplicity of Christ. Love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, I want wisdom. I want wisdom. That is wisdom. That is the fear of God. That is the purpose and duty of man. Read Ecclesiastes. For all of you who are still searching in this life to obtain something you think is going to elevate you to a status no man has ever been, you're just lying to yourself. Solomon already reached it, he said. He said he reached it and you can't reach it. No man will ever rise to that level. So he did it for your sake so that he could tell you it was all a waste of time. And that's what he told you. You see that? So it's about time that you come out here and serve the true and living El, I am, and in truth, and in spirit. You don't have to say it out loud to do anything. In this secret place, I am. Now, how do I believe that? By feeling that I am. See? As a man thinketh in his heart, as he feels, that's what he is. What he feels he is, he is. This is why it's hard to bring a person out of a guilt-ridden state when they just, woe is me, and it's just all bad, and doom and gloom, and self-pity and self-loathing, and you're trying to help them to believe in themselves and feel like it's better, and everything is going to get better and everything, and they just remain in that state. You see, that's why it's difficult. That's why. You got to go in the secret place where everything comes forth. Out of the heart comes the issues of life. Everything comes out of there. That place where you feel. And so now you simply give thanks and feel gratitude. Ask believing, as Christ said. Now that you've been set free from the lie that you had to labor in vain to get the things that you thought would make you happy, which always were temporal because your labor was temporal. You can't do a temporal labor and get an everlasting reward. You have to do an everlasting labor and get an everlasting reward. And what is the everlasting labor? That you do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So like I said, no hypocrisy. Coming out, being freed will allow you to free others. But if you're still held down in chains and in bondage and things like that, then you actually don't know how to do it. You don't know the way out. You don't know. You're just speculating, and speculation doesn't set anyone free. Matter of fact, it breeds more fear. So consider that today, children of Israel. Siloam Israel.